Yo, welcome to the Monix Project. I'm your host, Monix. Before we get into today's episode, I have a very important question for all you listeners out there. Are you looking to buy, rent, maybe even sell your home or property in the Las Vegas area? Well, look no further because today we have our very first sponsor of the Monix Project, my very good friend, Kylie Elu. Not only is he a badass on the mats, but he's the realtor you need. Working with Berkshire Hathaway, he can help you find exactly what you're looking for in today's market. For any questions or inquiries, you can find him on Instagram and Facebook at Realtor Kylie Elu. Again, that's Realtor Kylie Elu. Hit him up and he'll get you right with any of your realtor needs. One more time, you can find him on Facebook and Instagram at Realtor Kylie Elu. That's spelled Kileyyellul. Again, Kileyyellul. Thank you so much for supporting the Monix Project. Now I hope you enjoy this episode. Yo, welcome to the Monix Project. I'm your host, Monix. Today we have a very special guest, my brother, Andre Vaughan. How you doing?
How's it going, Matt? Happy to be here, man.
Great to have you, man. It's been a while coming.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
So, you want to give out your social media handles before we get started?
Yeah, so I just changed it, so I just had to remember what mine was for a second, but it's Battleborn93. If you look up Andre Vaughan, I'm sure you can find it easy.
Were you born 93?
About 93, man.
Let's go. Me too.
93, yeah, really?
Yeah, let's go. What month are you? I don't want to give away.
May.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Taurus, so.
Nice,
yeah.
Nice. Okay. Nice. So, you're a professor here at Atos, teaching here, but you got started in jiu-jitsu at a very young age. When did you get put into jiu-jitsu?
So I was 9 when I started.
Okay.
And I was really lucky, obviously, to be able to start at 9. And the whole way it even came about was I actually grew up boxing, believe it or not. Before,
Nice.
like right when I first was able to walk, I was throwing punches.
Wow.
Yeah, my on my whole dad's side of the family, my godfather, my dad, my uncle, they all boxed growing up when they were kids. So that was like the main thing we focused on.
Okay.
And got to the point where I was 9 years old and I was boxing, with my dad in the garage, basically nothing serious. But I did decide that I did feel like fighting. I did want to try out a couple amateur fights, and I felt pretty good about it, but my mom wasn't too excited. So my dad had a coworker whose kids actually were in jiu-jitsu already. You may not even know of the name of the gym. The name of the gym was Novo Uniao. There was only a few gyms back in the day when I first started. Mm-hmm. And he just had a coworker whose kids were training at that place. And funny, he just mentioned, hey, my kids are doing this. I really like it for them. They're having a really good time. And nothing came of it, though. That was just it. He just heard about it. Go figure, though, I lived about 45 seconds away from the gym I first started training at.
Oh, man.
So coincidentally, my dad ran into my eventual teacher at 7-Eleven down the street.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was just wearing the T-shirt that had jiu-jitsu on it, and he was just in line at 7-Eleven, and it was Mika, and he was standing in front of him, and he had the T-shirt and everything. I was like, oh, hey, I heard about that stuff, He was like, yes, as a matter of fact, I own the gym that's across the street. And it's right there, and that was the one that was 45 seconds away.
Nice.
And so that's when I started. Was 9 years old.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. So we were like born in the same year, and I was playing with Yu-Gi-Oh cards while you were choking people.
Don't get me wrong, man. I saw the Pokemon cards.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. So I was still there, man. I was still on that same kick. So.
Okay. So So you grew up here in Vegas?
I did.
Born and raised.
Born and raised.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Proud of it.
Okay. What's elementary school did you go to out here?
So my first one was Judge Strip. That was like on like Decatur and Flamingo area.
Okay.
But we moved to my for sure like childhood home. That was by the academy I was just mentioning. I went to Red Rock Elementary.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then from there I went to Garside Middle School, which was down the street. And then I lived in Centennial Hills for a little bit as a kid too. So I went to high school at Arborview for a couple years.
Oh, nice.
But then I finished at Western.
Oh, Western.
Yeah,
okay.
Western.
Okay. And you did jiu-jitsu all through high school pretty much?
I did. The only times it's funny because I mean, jiu-jitsu was just everything I was only focused on. There was nothing else in my brain. I mean, I did my homework to go to class. If I didn't finish my homework, I was in the car finishing my homework when my mom drove me to class.
Dang.
So no matter what, I was training. And if I didn't train, it was because I got hurt. Maybe an injury or there or so. But during school, the only time I really took a break was when I tried football. My freshman year, I was just a little curious. I had some friends who played football, and just thought, like, oh, you know what? It's a team sport. Why not try it? I'd literally been playing individual sport my whole entire life, and I gave it a try. And 1 year was all I needed to be reminded what I really wanted to do. So yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
never stopped training, man.
But you played football for the whole season your freshman year?
The whole season.
Nice.
I will admit, man, about halfway through, I was a little over it. I'm not even gonna lie, man.
Yeah.
Not even gonna lie. It was I don't know what it is, but like sports in general should be played as a kid for sure, in my opinion, no matter what. But personally, I like the individual sports. You know, I like the accountability.
Right.
If you win, it's because of you. You lose, it's because of you. It was just killing me. I would have, I would have like 8 tackles, and the next day of practice, I'm still just running and getting run into the dirt. You know, I'm like, this sucks. Coach, I had a good game. What are you talking about? And so I really like the individual stuff.
That's huge because I grew up playing football, so it's like when I finally did a jiu-jitsu tournament as an adult, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm by myself out here. It was so scary.
Right.
Like I couldn't depend on anybody else if I messed up. So that's cool that you grew up with that first.
Yes, and I kept it with me, and I also tried throughout school as well. I did wrestle.
Oh, nice.
But as I'm sure you already know, I mean, wrestling was for jiu-jitsu.
Right.
I was a guard puller. I barely had any takedowns. And where the academy we grew up training is we started from our knees, and very rarely did we start up from our feet. And which I noticed here at Atos in Vegas were much different, which is really cool.
Right.
But with that said, though, by the time I was a brown belt when I was 17.
What?
16 or 17, and I was a junior in high school, and I decided to go out for wrestling. Actually, I'm wrong. I was sought out by the coach in the middle of class, but then after I was okay. Let's go try it out. But I was able to take that with me, and that was another time I basically took a break from jiu-jitsu. But like I said, it was for jiu-jitsu.
For jiu-jitsu, right.
But I really wish I did more though. Wrestling was maybe the only other sport that I really was like, man, I started late. I mean, I was a kid, but at the same time, though, I was like, you know what, though, this was just for jiu-jitsu, so let's go back to it. But I wish I was able to do more.
Right.
Wrestling was really fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I wish I did wrestling, too. I got torn away from the dang trophies everyone showed me. They're just a naked guy with a leaf, and I was like, as a kid, you're like, I don't want to do that.
The singlets, too, and everything. You get used to it. I guess you get used to it. You get used to it.
Yeah. I wish now, though, because my takedowns are crap. So when did you, from being a in the kid belts, which belt did you get to before you came to the adult belts? Did you get all the way to green?
No. Let's see. I started when I was 9, and I think I was about 12 years old when I was actually, Mika asked me if I wanted to go into the adult class, and I was an orange belt.
Oh, no, okay.
I was an orange belt, and the only reason why was because I was training so much, and I was a little bit bigger for my age too. I was a chunky kid, man. Chunky kid, dude. Me too. So I was getting more experience. I was getting better. My technique was getting there, and then I was bigger. So there was not much training for me, and I was wanting to compete a lot. That was my main focus, was competition. So it was about 12 years old. I started with the adults, and was just by myself. 12 years old, man. Got my orange belt on. Walk into the adult class, and all I knew is that I was just honored to be here. I just wanted to be in the class, and that's all I cared about.
Right.
But man, I'm not gonna lie though, it was much different back then. Because I know nowadays it's you go to almost any adult class in any academy, you're gonna see a few teens.
Yeah.
It's very, very common, and I mean, you go here, it speaks for
it's
itself.
a whole
right?
bunch of teens.
These kids are monsters.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I see that. And I really, on the inverse of it, when I first started, I was the only one.
Man.
And not to say none of the guys in it, because there was a room full of great people, very nice guys. And yeah, they would help, for sure. But I can't help but to feel there was that energy that, what's up, kid? What you doing here? And, we're going to make sure you want to be here. And that first class, I remember very vividly, I had a black eye. Man. I was limping home, but biggest smile on my face. Biggest smile on my face. It did not matter. All I knew, I was in the adult class, and I knew how much better I was going to get. Got home, my mom was, oh my goodness, look at your face. But it didn't matter. Like I said, I just couldn't wait to go back the next night. So that's why, I feel like I was very fortunate in that way. I took my butt kickings at an early age, and I think the big part of that, too, in jiu-jitsu, it's hard. A lot of guys start at a later age, right?
Right.
You're already an adult, have a lot of life experiences, a lot of things that you feel like you earn those life experiences, right? So when it comes time to get humbled on the mat, it's hard.
It's tough.
It's very hard, and I get it because I was fortunate. I was a kid when I was taking those, man. I was just having fun. It was legitimately just fun. Not once in my brain was I thinking, all right, class again tonight. Let's get up off the couch, man. No, it was my gi was almost already on before I was even walking in the academy.
That's cool.
And that's all that was mattered. And it's funny. I'd always get asked too. I remember, oh man, you train so much, you're so dedicated. What are you doing? What does it take? And I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, I just like this stuff. Really, that was the only mindset that I had, and it made it easy. It made it easy in the summer times. I would train in the morning, do the kids class, and train in the night class 6 times a week. And that was only because the 7th day of the week, we were closed. Only reason why, you know what I mean? So with that said, I was lucky, you know what I mean? I just fell in love with it as a kid. So all the other, dramas for lack of a better word, right? You know what I mean? But all those thoughts that come in your head when you're getting beat up, I was just having a good time.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome. And especially, growing up, you can, on the north side, it's like kind of as a teen, you always got to prove yourself. You feel like you don't have the confidence. That changed you compared to like your peers around you coming up around in like 14, 15 area.
I would say so. And with that said, with me being in the adult class, I was around a lot of adults.
Right.
All the time. Very rarely was I around kids my age. And I never saw it as a bad thing, and it got to the points where I was more mature for my age. Guys would always be shocked on how old I was. Like, dude, I thought you were already like 20. I'm like 15, man. And, I'm just a kid right now still, and I noticed it in school for sure, and just people's mindsets and the way they would act and get angry for little stuff, and you know just as well as I do, when jiu-jitsu, it is what it is. All this other stuff is just noise.
It really is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And somebody gets mad, hey, man, this guy just bumped in my shoulder. Oh, man, is your shoulder okay? Is it all right, man? You okay? You know what I mean? Like, get offended for no reason. And I did notice that, and with that said, I didn't get into very many street fights, but at the same time, the middle school I went to, Garside, right down the street from Western, 5, 6, 7 fights a day, guaranteed almost. It wasn't the easiest school. I had one street fight in 6th grade, and but it was only, it built up to the point to where I did feel it was necessary. But it only happened when it was absolutely necessary, because I saw, like, okay, I train with all these trained people. I literally train to train people on the weekends, and I got these kids, in your ear and stuff like that. And it really taught me to have patience, you know what I mean? Really keep that level of mentality above, you know what I mean? And jiu-jitsu helped me with that.
I wish I had
the whole time. And I'm very lucky because of that, so.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So at that point, when did you start competing? So you started at 9. When did you start competing?
My first tournament, I think it was about 9 or 10 months in.
Dang.
9 or 10 months in. So I was about 10 years old, I would imagine. I was 10 years old because I started in October, I want to say. So I was 10. And I think the first kid I ever fought, man, the name of the term was Sin City Submission Grappling. Okay? The LLCs probably no longer exist. Who knows what's gone with it. But it was in UNLV campus and the volleyball courts.
Oh, dang.
Okay, so that's the most I remember as far as where it was at. And then I remember the kid I fought, I was 9 months in, and I was like a yellow belt, and he was like a green belt. This kid was just a monster.
Oh, man.
Come to find out later on, the Grappler's Quest tournaments that used to be ran out here?
Yep.
He was the nephew of Brian Simmons, the owner of that tournament. Come to find out.
The
kid was a monster. And I started the match. I went for like a flying armbar. Just went for it, man. Hit my head on the back of the mat. So I'm like, my bells are ringing just a little bit. And then I got this kid coming to me. Cartwheel passes on me.
Oh, man.
And then just Americanas me. Just done. Easy. And that was my first fight. My very first experience. You know what I mean? You would think that after that I'd be done. But it didn't matter, man. I remember all my family being there. Every single family member. Nobody was missing. They were front row. And I remember, dude, I was so bummed. And if you look at the video, I don't know where the video's at, but I was like so wanting to get my hand raised. You could see like my hand like wanted to do it after the match. I don't even know why I did it. It was just like really awkward, like hand raised. I was a little 10-year-old kid. I just want to get my hand raised. I see my family. But I got walked all over, and I just went out to my family. Everyone just smiling, and giving me hugs and everything. We went out to go eat afterwards. And I remember that was like the big, like, okay, this is cool.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? This is really cool. I like this. And my dad was already talking to me about the next tournament. You know what I mean? And that's all I was like, oh, okay, you're right. That's past. It's over. And the next tournament, I remember I had 3 fights, and I took second.
Nice.
Tapped my first 2 kids, and I was 10 years old and maybe 11 by the time that tournament came around. But I was 11, almost won fastest submission in the whole tournament. In my first fight, I tapped the kid in like 9 seconds with an armbar.
Dang.
And I remember we had to stay, though, for the whole duration of the tournament, because Mika told us, he came up to us and said, hey, you're in the running for fastest submission. It's like 3 o'clock. It's like, you still have the fastest submission of the tournament. That trophy has your name on it if nothing happens. So I remember we stayed all day, and some dude hit a flying armbar in like 7 seconds.
Oh wow.
Yeah, something like that. So, but it was crazy though. That first tournament, like I just got ran over, and then the second one, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, fastest submission. That was fast, So
That's cool.
Kept the ball rolling after that, pretty much.
They gave you the confidence to keep going. How far apart was that from the first one?
Not too far, I want to say, man. I wouldn't say, because like I said, I started in October. Maybe 4 or 5 months after that.
Dang.
And it was in California too, so it was my second tournament was the first time traveling for a tournament. So that was a whole different experience. I remember it was me and my dad, and that was it.
Dang.
Me and my dad, I had a backpack, he had a backpack, and we just flew out to LA, man, and did. Funny enough, it was actually technically the Pan American Games of Submission Grappling. It was called the tournament.
Dang.
Yeah, so it was like the old school Pan American Games kind of.
Dang.
So
that is cool, bro.
Yeah,
that is cool.
I'm lucky, man. There's a whole like circuit of tournaments that were really good quality, man. And no matter what, you're gonna have good fights. Like the Grappler's Quest stuff. Guys who grew up back in the day, the OTM tournaments, they would host a whole bunch of tournaments here in town and in California, and that's all I would do, man. Just do all those tournaments over and over again. And
that is awesome. And then you were just basically doing just adults class from there.
Yeah, I was maybe up to 16. I was only let's maybe to participating in the kids till about 13ish, but then it got to the point where I was actually assisting and teaching.
Oh, nice.
So that's when it kind of started transitioning into that. And I remember the main teachers at the time was Don Charlie, Professor Don. His picture's up on the wall right now. And obviously, rest in peace, Don Charlie is one of my favorite teachers of all time. And he was one of the main guys who helped me transition into teaching. And that's when the kids class became that instead. It wasn't me just training. It was me just being assistant to the coach. So I would train in the morning, go be assistant to the coach for the kids, and then train at night.
Dang.
So
that is cool.
Yeah.
At an early age, too. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Talk about being able to learn, because he was already black belt at the time. And he was teaching classes before I even black belt, Don was. And I was there the whole time. He used me as the dummy. And, I would help out the class. I mean, I wasn't an official assistant, but I was basically, he knew, I knew. You're just here to help the kids out.
Right.
So, I just got to learn how to teach, and I got to be his partner. And he was very, very discipline-oriented, I remember. He didn't let the kids get away with much. And I liked that, and I picked that up from him. And I remember he was just always wanting to learn stuff. He was always excited to show what he found out. And I think that's part of the reason what sparked the teaching little thing for me. Was I remember specifically, I'd be sitting there on the mat, be about 4 o'clock, class started at 4:30. He'd walk in and I'd be like, hey, I got to show you what I saw last night. It was literally about 6 days a week of that.
Man.
And then like, hey, this is what I'm showing today. This is why I'm showing it. And I just, my hand was held, and between him and Mika too. Mika did a very good job in kind of introducing me into how to teach, you know what I mean? And realizing not everybody's personalities are the same.
Right.
You're going to teach kids differently to the adults. You're going to different levels. I mean, we can go on and on, obviously, but that's what kind of started that for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. And like, so you were dealing with youth when you were still youth, basically.
Yes.
And that's cool that you can different, like you were saying, dealing with adults differently. Because, I mean, I'm not trying to call anybody out, but James told me when we started that you're gonna realize now that you're teaching that the adults are kind of more baby than the kids. So you got to kind of coddle them a little more.
It's very true, man. Nobody likes losing less than adults.
That's so true.
You know what I mean? And on top of that, too, kids' memories are a little bit shorter, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? And because kids, you've seen the kids, they get very dramatic, they're very crying, and something hurts and it's just the end of the world.
Yeah.
You go check what the dinner table is like in a couple hours from there, though. They're smiling, they're eating, they're fine, they're ready to play.
Again.
That adult, though, he's still fuming. He's still thinking about it. How do I know? Because I've done the same.
Right.
No one's innocent, right?
Right.
Everyone's done the same. And with that said, that could not be any more true. Could not be any more true. And there's times when I'm like, man, just do the move, man. You're good, and you want to. You want to have that, and that's the experience that finally, no, you're not going to get anywhere with that, man. If you really truly care about passing on that information to that next person, you're not going to let that take over.
Right.
It's very, very important. And like I said, I got to do that from 14 years old.
Man.
Teach something to somebody, see how they reacted, and then it's my turn. That back and forth. You teach enough to kind of see what I'm saying. You know,
Right.
like, okay, I just passed that info. What is he gonna do with it? What did he retain? Did he retain it because I said it like this? Do I need to take that? Am I saying too much? You know what I mean? And you just start mixing with it. You know what I mean? You find what works for you, and I got to do that from 14.
That's awesome.
You know, and so I'm very fortunate in that way.
That's awesome. And you basically figured out the formula ahead of time. That is cool. Like,
And you know, I'm not to interrupt you.
No,
What's
you're
funny is that, and if you ask me, I'm still creating the formula, man.
Yeah.
If you really, really ask me, and what's funny is that, and I've had people compliment my classes. You know, hey man, I love going to your classes. And what's funny is, and while they're saying that to me, I'm like, dude, I'm still thinking about why I said that one sentence and that one move. That wasn't necessary. Like that actually confused this one guy, and I'm actually still going through it in my head. You know what I mean? So I'm by no means am I satisfied by my classes. And I see my students; they're happy with it, you know. And even then, I'm still like, I don't know. I could have done better. So.
and I think that's what separates great teachers and or just great people. Period, is how analytical you are of every little thing while you're teaching.
I'm sitting here stressing while I'm getting compliments the whole time. You know, like I don't know, man. You know, it's kind of funny, but
That's cool, man. And just to see your humble spirit through it all. I mean, especially because you were competing at such a high level at such a young age. Can you kind of talk about how the emotions were for you at such a young age competing with the top?
yeah. It was a lot of mixed emotions as far as it's very quick. You want to compare yourself, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? And competition is a lot of that. You know, you get a lot of these guys, and I feel like I got into my own head a lot too because social media doesn't help.
No.
You look up these guys you're about to compete.
Right.
Oh, he just did that one tournament, man. He just placed in that podium. I saw who he just beat. You can really get into that spiral. So since I got to do that at such an early age, I got to realize that, man, that is no good for you. You know what I mean? And I got to see that there's levels too. That was the biggest part too, is that you know, you can be the big fish in the little ponds, but then all of a sudden there's an ocean out there. You know what I mean? And that more than me was more valuable than anything. And that helped me mentally really see like, okay, man, like there is no ceiling anywhere near you right now. And it was really it like there was tournaments, man, and you know, I was, for example, you know, there'd be like a purple belt no-gi nationals one time, you know, and I just crapped the bed, dude. I just wasn't there, you know what I mean? And and before that, I think I won a tournament. You know what I mean? When you're at that high level, you just can't take breaks. You know what I mean? And it was all just learning on the job. You know what I mean? And with being at such this high level, but then still wanting to realize like, oh, hold on, dude, you just started this, like you still got to learn so much, you know? So it was hard. It was hard to navigate at first, but then you just really learn what works and what doesn't, and you have to be honest with yourself more than anything. You know, I think that's the biggest thing.
And did it stress you out, kind of like, you know, I'm competing at such a high level, I'm trying to be at the top, but also still be a kid, or not a kid, but a teenager, have a social life, not a social life, but just a regular life?
You know, it's funny. That part was easy for me.
Really?
Funny enough. I would even have, there's times my dad, specifically, I remember one time I was a senior in high school, and he asked me, were you not invited to anything this weekend, dude? Like, I know you have friends. Like, I was like, oh yeah, I was invited to a party. Like, go. This is what he said. Go to it. Like, I'm fine here. Like, I'm okay, you know. And you know, at the same time though, senior year I remember being very, very fun. So I like to say I had a decent balance going on. But if I was given a choice, jiu-jitsu all day. It didn't matter. The parties, the fun time with the friends. Yeah, I'm happy I did a little bit of. Like I said, senior year was a great time for me. I had a couple of best friends. I did the senior trip, homecoming, prom. I did it right. I feel like, you know. So there was definitely when it was over, it wasn't like, oh man, you know, I missed out. I got to do a little bit of it, and while I was still focusing on the main thing I loved, you know. So, and at the same time too, you see the kids, they get into, you know, my buddies, they get into trouble and stuff like that, and I wasn't trying to get in trouble with my dad at the same time. Jiu-jitsu helped me stay out of that, man. Since I loved it so much, it made it that much easier.
That's good. That's good. When did you, like, looking back at your full career, when do you think what was the most exciting point, would you say?
If there was a big turn point, it would probably be when I was brown belt. I don't know how many stripes I was, but it was when I actually got to compete against Ben Henderson. And at the time, I remember this tournament I actually wasn't even planning on doing. But there was a group of us at the time. I remember it was me, Brian, Rhonda, Jack, James.
Oh,
he was
wow.
a blue belt.
Dang.
The story I'm telling you, he's a blue belt.
Dang.
James, I think Court was with us, and then my parents met us out there afterwards. They actually surprised me the morning of the competition. They weren't supposed to be there. But I remember it was me, Ben Henderson, and one other guy in the division. Actually, the guy, I won't even say his name, his name was Gerson. He's a very good friend of mine.
Oh, man.
Great guy. And I remember that tournament, that morning, man, I was so nervous. Yeah. So nervous. There's three of us, right? Round robin. I'm going to have to fight Ben Henderson. He's WEC lightweight champion at the time. Hasn't touched the UFC. He's going to be the UFC lightweight champion in the future.
And how old were you?
17.
Oh my gosh.
17. So I'm a kid, dude, and I got I know I'm gonna have to go up against them. I fight Gerson first. I end up being able to choke him, and then in the final, Ben Henderson beats Gerson, so I get Ben in the final, right? And by no means I didn't tap him or anything like that, man. It was one of the fights of my life. I beat him 2-0. Swept him and ran with it, man. Because this guy was a monster. You know what I mean? And
it's explosive.
The fight's on YouTube, but you want to talk about guard retention, man? It's 7.5 minutes about just nothing but guard retention, man. Just the guy is just a tornado trying to pass your guard. Oh, but it was that tournament, man. It was such a big deal for me, man, because I was so nervous. I remember just how much of myself I gave in that fight. And it wasn't, I didn't know what I was ready to do, to be honest, man. You know, it was such a big deal for me. I was 17. I got this MMA sensation in front of me. And I actually have a little side story with that in a second. I can, if you remind me, with Ben Henderson.
Okay.
Way before that even happens.
Oh, man.
Okay, but it was just, I remember how nervous I was, man. And I just lost it when I won the fight, dude. Just lost my mind, you know what I mean? Just going crazy. I'm screaming, man. And just that, it was just such a big hump to go over because I created it in my brain, you know, this big mountain that I had to climb. So from then is when, you know, I got in touch with the Destroy Your World guys. You know, they actually got in touch with me because of a couple buddies and stuff. And I feel like that was the big turning point. I was like, okay, this ball's really rolling right now. You know, I got Destroy Your World ended up putting me onto the team. I beat Ben Henderson and just, I remember Pan Am's was after that. And just kind of, that was the big turning point, I feel like.
That's awesome.
It was a good day, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's 17, man. And I'm just being an idiot at that same age. So what's this side story with Ben Henderson?
So funny enough, man, I was supposed to fight him even before that day when I was a green belt. So in a Grappler's Quest tournament, so what was normal for me, what I would do is in those Grappler's Quest, Nagas back in the day, those OTM tournaments I would tell you, I would sign up for a teens division, do my teens advanced gi, no gi, and I would, no matter what, always, they would actually let the teens sign up for the adult divisions.
Oh, wow.
So the teens were in the mornings, you know, so I would knock out those couple divisions, and then I would have about 7-8 hours of downtime.
Oh, my God.
You know, and man, I couldn't be luckier with my family, man, because it would just literally be me, my dad, my mom, sometimes my sister, mixture of whoever, of the four, but for sure it was going to be me and my dad. And we're just sitting there at the tournament and just watching fights. So this particular one, they decided to host a pro division. Man, guys like Gilbert Melendez, Ben Henderson, Jake Shields.
Oh, my God.
Monsters. And this is old school stuff too, man. So these guys in the crowds, they don't really know who they're watching. And they're early in the MMA scene too. And I knew about them. So I got to watch those fights while I was waiting for my division to start. And that particular one, I was waiting for the purple belt division to start. I didn't do the no-gi, but I did the purple belts. So I was a green belt, so I figured, okay, that makes sense to me, right? So watched that division. Ben Henderson's in that division just tearing it up, man. He didn't place, but I just watch him. I just remember seeing the size of his legs and his double leg, dude.
Oh, man.
Just tossing guys. So I get ready, you know, time for the adult division finally, right? We waited like 7 hours. Go down to the mat, and my first fight is Ben Henderson.
Oh, man.
This guy I just got done watching just terrorize the pro division.
Oh.
But it's all good. And I'll tell you right now, what's funny is that at that moment, I was less nervous than I was when I was a brown belt because I didn't know much about him yet. I just saw the couple matches. All right, cool, let's do this, you know? So I'm on the side. He's on the side, the table in the middle, you know? We're just waiting for the referee. You know, we're jumping around, getting ready. And Brian Simmons comes up to the table, the owner of the tournament. And he comes up to the ref, and they start talking about something. And he comes up to me and said, hey, just so you know, man, I'm really sorry, but we can't allow this fight to happen. We can't allow you to go against Ben.
Because he was like a grown adult?
No. The adult part was the issue. I already signed up for it. They were already okay with me fighting adults. It was the fact that he was a pro MMA fighter.
Oh.
They got done. So he did his no-gi stuff, but he was, I think, fighting professionally at the time in Canada, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But he was just on the precipice of making his way to the U.S. He was becoming a big deal, basically. Brian Simmons verbatim told me, I can't. If you beat him, it's gonna be too much for him. I'm sorry. Literally said that.
Wow.
And funny enough, though, Ben was like, "I'll fight the kid."
He was like,
he was like, "No, the kid's here to fight. Let's fight." And I was telling him like, "No, he wants to fight. I want to fight. Let's just fight. You know, it's not a big deal." And but they didn't allow it to happen. And fast forward, however many years later that was, I ended up eventually having to fight the guy. You know? So yeah. Funny enough, I actually reminded him. He didn't remember, but I reminded him. I was like, "Man, this is actually a long time coming, man." Believe it or not.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's crazy times.
That's really cool,
Yeah.
especially with some of the greats, man, legends in the sport.
Crazy stuff, man.
And you were right there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what age? So you were 17 at brown belt fighting Benson Henderson. What age did you get your black belt?
I was 19.
19.
Yeah, and I was gonna get it at 18, but that was the year that IBJJF bumped it to 19. So that was the only reason why.
That's really.
I wasn't complaining though. Honestly, you know, for obvious reasons. I mean, I had the black belts just sitting there waiting for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wasn't in a rush to get to them. Trust me. But yeah, that's the reason why I got it at 19.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was it started at 9, got it at 19.
Nice. So from 19, from getting your black belt, how long did you compete until like one of your first major injuries?
Funny enough, my first black belt tournament.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Getting ready for my very first Vegas Open, I tore my PCL in my left knee.
Oh.
And so I popped my knee, and it was just forward contact into the front part of my knee, and tore the ligament that's connected to your ACL like that.
Oh man.
And so I needed to be replaced, full on tear, and that was 1 year. Oh. So that was first tournament at black belt.
Oh, man.
There goes 1 year, and if you want to talk about mental stuff, man, that 1 year was a little bit tough.
Right.
You know, and because at the time, I just got my black belt. Jiu-jitsu was the only thing on my mind. You know, I had no school really going on. And, man, it was very hard. You know, I remember, I think the hardest part and what kind of really got to me was when I, for some reason, it was before the surgery. It's when I got my knee brace. I don't know what it was about that thing, man. I had to put on the knee brace from my ankle all the way up to, like, damn near to my hip. And it was just like, oh,
that
man, this is
immobilizer.
real. This became real, you know, and so I had to overcome that even, you know what I mean, all the emotions of wanting to train and can't, and in the rehab process, which I know, hey, I'm speaking to the choir brother, so I get it, bro, I get it, everything, and luckily though, jiu-jitsu is what helps you make you want to go back, right?
Yeah.
That's the main thing, so that was a crazy part. I'm getting ready to go into this black belt full steam ahead, and then, just a little speed bump right there.
Speed bump.
But it's all good.
Were you like still like getting mental reps in the gym while you were injured?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I think there's a photo of me like I'm in like cargo shorts and a white tee, like baramboloing somebody. You see like my brace knee in the air, like away from what's going on. My right knee's deli heave, and I'm over to the side, like it's like freeze frame photo like that. So yes, 100%.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So was that your first major injury?
Technically, no. I dislocated my elbow wrestling, actually, when I was a junior. So funny enough, I was never wrestled in my life. Like I said, going into my junior year, made varsity, and I was the captain. I was like, okay, cool. Kind of going into it, and then all of a sudden, I was 25-0 with like 20 pins. Never done this before. And I remember it was at El Dorado High School.
Okay.
And first day of the tournament was just for seeding. You had like 4 matches. The next day was the brackets. And then the first day of the brackets the next day, and a kid got behind me, like just from my waist, and returned me to the mat. And just like I preached to all my kids and the white belts class too, I put my hand on the mat, man. Was even far either. I looked at the video, and the kid didn't even pick me up or anything. It was just a simple trip, bring down. There was no error, nothing. Oh, wow. And my hand was right next to my own hip. And just I remember it went out this way, or my left one anyways, went out this way.
Oh, man.
And in the moment, I was like, oh no, my arm's over there. I don't like that. And I brought it back. That's when all the ligaments and tendons got tore up, man, and all that stuff. So that was my first real injury. Only about 4 months, though, surprisingly. About 4 or 5 month recovery process. But the knee one was more serious. Yeah, for sure.
Man. So was that did you have another knee injury after that?
Luckily, no.
Oh, okay.
Luckily, no. Knock on wood, man. It's been however long that's been now. Yeah, I mean, about 9 years now.
Okay.
About ish.
Awesome. So having the whole year off, were you like, because you really can't do cardio type of things because your knee, obviously, were you like lifting or doing other things like that to keep in shape?
100%, man. That was my mindset. And as a matter of fact, I was even doing single leg stuff on my good leg.
Oh,
whatever
wow.
I could, you know what I mean? And I was actually able to get cardio. I had my biggest thing was the hand bike. I'd never seen those, man. I was just going crazy on that thing, I remember. And, just lift the weights, man. to the points where, like, because a lot of my workouts were in my parents' garage where I grew up. My dad and I created a nice workout space in there. So it was just, when I was first hurting and obviously could be walking around with weights, I'd be sitting on the bench and he'd carry the weights to me and, all right, do my thing. He'd put them back, and can't explain to you, obviously. I mean, that's just a small insight of what my dad's done and my parents have done. So, I mean, he made it easy for that sense for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And from the injury, when did you finally start feeling comfortable to train again? Like, after you were cleared, did you go right away, or how did that happen?
To be honest, man, I think it took 10 months until I was stepping on the mat with the full gi and everything. And actually, he said, okay, you can participate in class now. You wear your knee brace and everything, just be smart. But after that, though, I remember he said to baby it for about a month. The doctor, be careful with it. But it was after that second month afterwards, and he gave me the green light. It was like, okay, you're good now. You need to not baby it no more. That was the hard part. That, you know what I mean? So I would say that process of, hey, the process of telling people, hey, I got a knee injury and getting out of that mindset, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It took 4 or 5 months, man. And certain positions, I would avoid. And luckily, I was fortunate enough to have a certain amount of skill to the point where, okay, I know how to not put this in, a bad situation, so I can just avoid it. But that's a way different kind of mental hump to get over for sure, man. And always thinking about it. And I'm very bad with that too, I think. Like, I'll sprain an ankle, and I'm like, okay, dude, just be careful. It's just sprain ankle, relax, So with a surgically fixed knee, I was just like, oh no, like everybody stay away, very careful about it. But I got over it eventually, and like I said, man, my parents were there, so I had my dad right there making sure, like, if he caught me, I would try to wear my knee brace some days, and my doctor even told me, like, hey, don't even wear the knee brace, because again, you're gonna baby it, right?
Yeah.
So he would remind me, or he'd make sure to come check on me, and it was always fine.
And were you doing physical therapy from like the surgery till you came back?
They started my physical therapy the day after.
The day after?
The day after. Man.
Wow.
It was nuts. I remember, even more so, it was supposed to be an arthroscopic surgery. Real simple, right? I think that's what...
Yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah. So, but for some reason, they were having trouble connecting the graft. I decided to do a cadaver ligament. And they were having trouble connecting it. So they told me, just, slit here, slit there, glue, you're going to be good. It turned out to a full-on surgery. They had to cut into the middle of my knee. They opened me up all the way into a full-blown surgery. I didn't get to find that out, though, until the next day at physical therapy. They sat me on the table, unwrapped my knee, and as I was unwrapping my knee and get to the bandages, and I'm seeing red, more red, and they get to the knee, dude, and it's just a murder scene. There's blood everywhere, and I see the stitches. I'm expecting just to see little closed slits, from the incisions. And I'm like, okay, guys, what's up with this? What happened? And the PT got me, up to date on what happened with the surgery. But he goes, on top of that, we need to get started on your mobility now.
Oh, man.
And their biggest thing was they were concerned that I wasn't going to be able to straighten my knee. So I was sitting on the table and I'm like holding up my knee like this, not letting it go straight. And the doctor, the PT actually goes, all right, I'm going to take over for your knee, man. I see that's you're holding it there, right? I'm like, okay. So I give it to him. I'm all like scared, what is he going to do? So, okay, lay back. All right, you got my knee though, right? You still have it, right? So I sit back and I was like, okay, I'm going to let go of your knee now. And my heel was on the table and just slowly let it slide. Just let gravity do its thing, man. And I remember just that right there was just, oh no, I'm in for it. Like, it's so much pain. I'm thinking he's ruining my knee. And I remember he gave me the talk though. He goes, hey man, you can cuss me out all you want. You can, mother F this and that. Just don't punch me, man. That's all I ask. And we're good. No, all right, fair enough, man. Because every PT session ended with that.
Man.
With some kind of straightening, and got to the point where he's putting all of his body weight on my kneecap and forcing it past 180 degrees to make sure I keep my mobility.
Man.
Obviously thankful for it now. But yeah, it was fun times.
I'm actually having that issue right now.
The mobility stuff, right?
Yeah, on Wednesday they were pushing on my kneecap because she was like, "You're digressing." I was like, "How do you know?"
Yeah, right.
No, but so how was it your first training for the tournament after the knee injury, or the first tournament after the knee injury?
I let myself get to the point where it wasn't a thing. Like I talked about those 4 or 5 month periods where the knee was a thing, even though I was cleared. I let that go away first.
Okay.
By no means was I going to jump in, and with that, there's too many things to worry about in these black belt divisions, man, to having a baby a knee,
Right.
So when it came time for the preparation, the knee wasn't even in mind.
That's awesome.
Luckily. So I made sure, man, and I never try to let people get into my head and, hey, man, why haven't you competed yet? Or why haven't you, like, hey, you're good, right? Like, no. I know when I'm good.
I'm on my time.
I'm going to go there. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I went about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, man.
So from competing, how and you teaching at such a young age, what have you taken away to now as an adult teaching, sharing your experiences as a kid coming up? Because in the white belt class you have too.
Yeah.
You have some 14-year-olds, some people that are going through that transition in life.
Absolutely. And you know what, man, with all that said, with all those crazy experiences and me starting so young, dealing with so many different personalities, from teaching from 14, 15, 16 up till now, and then the competing at such a higher level at such a young age, it's taught me just, man, there's gonna be another day.
Right.
A lot of guys get very wrapped up and take it too serious, and I'm only saying this because I know how serious I've taken it. Man, like, jiu-jitsu is my life is an understatement in how I grew up. And when I see these other guys and what they're doing with it and how they're going about it, all I want to tell them is that, hey, man, there's gonna be another role. There's gonna be another tournament. There's gonna be another partner. There's gonna be another teacher. There's gonna be another technique. Whatever it is, there's gonna be another one. And don't take it too serious. A lot of the times, and I was that one taking it too serious. I'd be that one, man. I would lose a match, and you'd catch me in a dark corner in the gymnasium, cry my eyes out. I was that guy because that's how I cared about it. That
Kobe
much.
mentality.
It's all that was raised in me.
Right.
My dad and I, big time Kobe guys. You know what I mean? So you already know. But with all of that said, though, I have to remind myself that these guys that are in classes now may not be there for the same reasons that I was.
Right.
And it's okay. That's how great is jiu-jitsu, right? That's the best part about it. And as long as you're honest with yourself on what you're there for, it's gonna give you nothing but benefits, right? If you're there just to make some guys sign up just to make friends.
Yeah.
They won't say it.
Yeah.
They'll just say they're here to exercise, but they're just here, man. They see us having a good time. Just have a good time, And so with all these experiences, I just try to remind these guys, hey, it's not that serious. You know what I mean? And on top of that too, this takes time. And this takes time is the understatement of jiu-jitsu.
Oh my gosh, that is
understatement, man. And I only say that, I say that because there's techniques that I don't show that I do every single day when I train. Why? I just still don't feel comfortable teaching it. I feel like it still takes some time. You know what I mean? I feel like if I show it, I'm gonna sound weird showing it, but I know I can do it. It's really weird how that works out, but again, though, I'm okay with that. It's gonna take time. I'm gonna show this. You know what I mean? But I don't know how to verbalize it the way I want to yet, and that's okay. And a lot of guys forget that there's just time in this. There's no time limit, and that's the biggest piece of advice that anybody really needs to take, I think, is don't rush anything. And because when you do, you regret it. And I was a special case too, man. I got my green belt, so I'm pretty sure you're familiar, right? And for those whoever isn't, you can't go into the adult belts in jiu-jitsu once you turn 16. I got my green belt at 12.
Man.
And it was only because I had the amount of hours necessary. I was in, like I told you how much I trained, and I had enough hours for a black belt. I think I blue. Something like that. If you do the hours, it was something crazy like that. And but at the same time, though, I had all these hours, all this training in, but I still felt, I was like, no, slow down. Even then, you know what I mean? So I was the same belt from 12 to 16.
Man.
You go give most 12-year-olds the same belt. I'm like, hey, man, nothing's going to change. You can get that, see that black bar? You can put 4 stripes on that thing, and that's it.
That's it.
Nothing until you're 16. Most kids be like, cool, I'll see you when I'm 16.
Yeah.
Cool, done. Yeah. I was like, okay. That's lit. There was no other thought than just, okay. So I feel like that patience part of it, how I'm talking about, just take your time with it. I was forced to kind of be taught that at an early age. But like I said, though, I just loved it so much, man. It didn't matter to me. I mean, my green belt is my most prized possession that I keep.
Really?
That thing is beat up. I pulled it out actually not too long ago. It was pretty cool to look at it. But I had it on for 4 years, man. You know, that was my baby right there. You know, and that, to me, that green belt is what really kind of that's what made me, honestly, was that those 4 years more so. And luckily, you know, when you're a black belt and you have the insight that you got from all the years of training, it's different, right? It's for sure you're gonna make some big bounds and leaps mentally, but those 4 years in particular were the biggest, I think, for me. You know, because like I said, I was 12, starting with the adults. You know, so I got my green belt a little bit after into starting with the adults. And man, it was just, that was it. It's like, who's this green belt kid in the adult? Like, okay, go roll with him. You're gonna find out.
You're gonna find
you
out.
know, and it was like that. You know, and I was just sitting there, this kid, you know, just ready to roll with whoever was wanting to roll. You know, there was very less thought into it. And I almost missed that, though, because with knowledge and experience, right, comes with the, okay, you know, overthink. Maybe the insight comes with overthinking sometimes, and sometimes I do miss that. You know, that almost like you know, ignorance is bliss almost, but it was more so innocence is bliss,
right,
for me. You know, I was just like, who's next? Who wants to go next? Who wants to go next? You know what I mean? And that's all it was for me.
That's awesome.
And I try to take that stuff, man, and really try to show these guys, like, man, like, there's roles I would get so frustrated. I would go into the bathroom and just like, you know, get so frustrated. I just cared that much, you know. And when you care that much and you love it that much, the time that you're putting into it, it vanishes, man. You know, I remember guys asking me throughout the years, hey, how long have you been training now? And I'm like, oh, wait, it's been 9 years. You know, whatever time it has been, you know, like, oh yeah, it's been like 8 years. Like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Shake hands, bump, let's roll. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter, you know. So because I had the love for it and the passion and just that much care for it, the time didn't matter, man. You know, and I wish that mentality, and I can't wish that upon everybody, but at the same time, though, I try to carry that thought into it, like, hey, man, you're not getting this right now. And some guys were like, no, I need to learn this right now. This move isn't, like, no, it's cool, man. Sleep on it for a night. You know, you're going to be thinking about it, and you know what? That might be what you need to do it the next day. It's okay, you know? So I think that's the biggest thing I carried with me.
Nice. And I also, not to change the subject on you, but I heard a story from James, like back in the day when people were first signing up for jiu-jitsu, they would be like, you want to see how real this is? Go roll with that. Get over there. You were like the warden.
Yeah, man, I definitely was the what is it? The mat enforcer. There was a time to where, you know, your teacher give you the look and, you know, look at the guy. I'm like, okay, copy that. We'll go, you know. And it's fun, man. And I'm like, I'd be lying to you if I said it wasn't. You know, there's fun times. You know, again, the humble guys that needed that humbling. Right. You know, right. But then it gets to the point where it's like, man, when do these guys end? You know, you swear there's a line out the door waiting for it. You know, and so with that said, it gets to the point where like, that metaphor stuff, man, it's for the birds now. You know what I mean? Because sometimes these guys are big, sometimes they're really strong, and man, this stuff adds up on you. You know what I mean? Like the physical toll, it adds
especially
up.
Being a teenager, man.
I mean, I was 14, man. I had the over 200-pound guys on top of me trying to smash me. By no means am I gonna let this kid choke me. By no means am I gonna let this kid choke me. And just, you know, then it comes. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there like, okay, this sucks, but I know I have to choke. You know what I mean? So a lot of that. And I wouldn't take it back because, man, it's real moments, right? This dude is really trying to beat you. You're a child. You know what I mean? You got to react. You know, you're gonna take a butt kicking or you're gonna deliver it. And I always chose the latter. And with that said, they're like those wars, man. They turn into wars. And you get the guys that, you know, it's nothing to be proud of. But yeah, if guys want to quit in the middle rolls because I was on that kick, you know, like, oh, you want to go like that? We're gonna go like this, you know. Man, it gets so tiring, bro. Yeah. It gets so tiring, and what are you gonna get? What happens from that, right? What's really beneficial other than he knows that you know that he knows, you know what I mean? Like, right. But that's it, right? Like, you could, your chest is a little poofy now. No, it gets to a certain point, man, to where nothing comes from it, right? You know, and you just, I can't tell you last time I had to be the mat enforcer, you know what I mean? But at the same time, because I like teaching instead. I like showing them why we do it like this instead of let me put my hands on you and show you why. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's kid stuff, I feel like.
But I mean, as a teenager, knowing like especially they're coming off the street, so I don't know if they're joined, but brand new, fresh people. You're not going to get anything more realistic to imagine facing an adult out there.
Absolutely.
So having that confidence, man, that's got to be different at such a young age.
For sure, and that's why I always try to make sure I didn't have that the whole confidence and cocky, the fine line in between them, and I always try to listen more and speak less. And that's the main lessons one of my dad has always taught me. Listen more and speak less. And because I feel like I got that lesson from him going into jiu-jitsu, I just kept it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I know if I'm sitting in a room, right? If we're at a bar, right, hanging out, right? And okay, if something were to really happen, I know that I'd be okay. Does that guy next to me need to know about it? No.
Right.
This guy drawing, let's say there's a guy drawing off to me. This guy's drawing off. Does he need to? No, he doesn't, because he just doesn't know, and it's okay that he doesn't know. And it's the guys that don't come to terms with that get themselves in trouble, and so I was, the times I did hang out with my friends, my buddies, and you're teenagers, right? Teenage boys.
Yeah.
Your
like,
testosterone's building, you know what I mean? They knew what I did eventually, right? We were buddies and stuff like that. And I feel like I was able to handle myself to the point to where, okay, they know what I can do, but they also don't want to poke.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I didn't instill that physically. It was just verbally, you know what I mean? They's like, wait, he can do all this stuff, but he's like really, really chill right now. Okay, then they relax a little bit too. You know what I mean? And I feel like I try to keep that the whole time. And man, guys just get their feelings hurt too quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they wear their feelings on their sleeve, and all of a sudden they're getting all butthurt sometimes, and no, it's just the jiu-jitsu stuff, man, you know what I mean? And being in those crazy war moments, with guys really trying to beat you, right? This guy drawing off to me is nothing compared. My goodness. He wants some tough stuff? Let's go on the mat. Dude. We can really show you how tough this can be.
Right.
But I know it's okay that he doesn't know. You know what I mean? And unless touching happens, nothing needs to come from of this. I'm very fortunate. I've only had to really defend myself out in real situations, maybe only a couple times.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
That's and like you said, it brought you that calm, cool, and collectiveness to realize each situation. Like, this is not the one.
Exactly. You pick and choose.
Right.
And you know what? I did security for a long time too.
Okay.
As a job for about 6 years. And I mean, yeah, you're the designated BS goes your way guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you're gonna get all the drunk guys, all the craziness, and that also helped me develop that pick and choose. Okay, does this guy really need to? You know what I mean? And do I need to go even harder with this? And I feel like I even learned more in verbal combat, I call it. Almost, you know what I mean? Like, learn how to talk to people, you know what I mean? And be that calming voice and that, that de-escalating voice. You know what I mean? So nothing but jiu-jitsu helped me with that. Though.
That's awesome.
Jiu-jitsu was all jiu-jitsu, so. That's
awesome. Jiu-jitsu is life. All right. So speaking of jiu-jitsu being life, you have a lot of influences in jiu-jitsu in your career period. What do you think is your biggest influence, or who would you say is your biggest influence, life and jiu-jitsu together?
I mean, as far as life, and for me, life and BJJ turn into one, obviously. Right. So that those lines crossed each other quite a bit. But I mean, my parents, it's all if there is anything that I know my parents done my entire life is work. They know how to work. They know when you don't feel like working, you gotta work. You're hurting, you gotta work. And my dad's been in the construction field for a long time, which I've just transitioned to myself. Nice. And 4 a.m. every single day. My dad's been a land surveyor for since I've been alive, literally. Dang. And I'm turning 29 this year, and he's been getting up at 4 a.m. for almost 30 years. Man. And I remember I don't even know if I've told my parents this. I remember being like back in the day where my parents only had one car, and my mom had to drive my dad to work, and myself and my sister were babies, so we had to go with them. So I remember like my dad carrying me as maybe 3 or 4 years old to the car because my mom had to take him to work. Man. You know what I mean? I remember those days, and that's all I think about. When my dad got home from work, he had to take care of us, and then guess where my mom had to go? To work. And that's all they have done. And with all that work I talk about, the amount of tournaments they have taken me to. I mean, if you want to talk about, if you want to put a number on the tournaments, we can be here all day, with the competitions, the classes, you name it, man. And one of them was there, if not both, no matter what. And, and obviously any person can go on and on about their parents, right? Mm-hmm. But, there's times where my dad was just there when it was just needed. You know what I mean? And so as far as life, that's the biggest influence that has gone into jiu-jitsu for sure. You know what I mean? And and if you want to, specifically go as far as, jiu-jitsu and big influences, you know what I mean? I've had guys, I've already talked about Professor Don, right? Don Charlie, huge influence. I've had guys, and people that, it's funny because these people that have had the big influences, by no means, when I say their names, nobody's really going to know them, you know what I mean? But when they hear this, you know what I mean, they know, you know what I mean? I've had guys like, his name is Joey Dillon. He was one of my very first kid instructors. He was one of Mika's instructors growing up, and Joey was one of the biggest supporters. And I remember he was just, and if you saw a picture of Joey, you'd be like, oh, this is the guy, huh? And yes, Joey, I am saying that about you. That's all we do is talk mess to each other. But he was so knowledgeable and so just mature in the way, and he could just, there was a way of him thinking differently, and he would make sure, just keep you on track, you know what I mean? And nobody spoke to me the way he did, and it was just different, he didn't, people always, and it's not their fault, but people always, oh, hey, you're that kid, and they talk to me as such. The people who had the influences in my life didn't talk to me like that. They talked to me the way we're talking right now, you know what I mean? Able to just conversate and just, hey man, I saw you did that, why'd you do that? Call me out, you know what I mean? Call me out on my stuff. And those are the people that had the biggest influences on my life, that weren't afraid. And because I crave that, dude, to be honest. I always feel like, and it's because of my experience, obviously, but I feel like I'm always kind of looked at as for the answers. But man, I like hearing the answers more, surprisingly, you know what I mean? I like that. So growing up, I had those guys that, no, I just saw you tap that black belt as a green belt, but come here, let me show you what you messed up on still. Okay. It's a whole nother level, man. You know what I mean? And that's that, guys like Joey Dillon, guys like Don Charlie, you know what I mean? They brought that different mindsets where, yeah, man, you're a killer. You still messed up on this, that, and this. And man, my dad was like that too.
Really?
Funny enough, you just talked about this too. I was a brown belt. I remember I injured my wrist very badly for this tournament. I had one hand going into this tournament. First match though, I still felt good. And I ended up winning I think it was 20-something to 0. I didn't tap the guy because I had one hand. So I was just doing positions, man, just racking up the scoreboard. And people were like, oh my God, look at the score. My dad's sitting there, man. And I didn't know about this until afterwards. And I guess yeah, when he's going to stop messing around with him, just tap him already. My dad's the only one who knows. I have a hurt hand, by the way, too. He's the only one who knows this. He's the one who knows why I haven't tapped the guy. And everyone's just in awe of the score. And everyone turns and looks and oh, so that's why he's that good. His dad's watching his son win 20-something to 0 with one hand. That's a secret, by the way. And he still isn't satisfied with it. Man. You know what I mean? And yeah, there's been those moments where, yeah, it gets, as a kid, it's frustrating, right? We talking about that. It was 20-something to 0. You're tripping. I killed that fight. But yeah, that was about 7 minutes of unnecessary movement that I could just tap. You know what I mean? Right. So you see it in that way. So it's those people that have got me to a different level. And I really, really, really try to be that for the guys on the mat here. But like I said earlier, I like to remind myself that not everybody is there for the same reason that I was when I was at their level in their journey. You know what I mean? So as far as influences, that's right there.
That's awesome. Yeah. And before we get into the hot fire questions, I just wanted to tell you, I remember you were teaching the mornings at Charleston at this point, and I was a white belt, and I think it was Andre Kua and somebody else had told me, come over, because I only trained here at Blue Diamond at the time. They were like, come over to Charleston, it's Andre's day, and everybody had talked about you, and I haven't met you yet, and I was like, oh man, here's this superstar in jiu-jitsu, and I'm a white belt, I don't belong in that class. And I was so nervous to go to your class, and then the first time we were warming up with double legs, and you just pulled me aside, and you were like, no, why don't you just do this, it's a little easier. And I was like, you know what? This is the most chill dude ever. I want to take all of his classes.
That's cool, man. I appreciate it.
It definitely changed my view on, people that are up there. They can still be humble at the same time.
I appreciate it, man. That's awesome to hear. It's funny. I do get those, and I feel bad when I don't remember it, man. Because to me, it's just me. Oh, I see this guy. I'm sure he's looking over to his side, and these guys just run in double legs, right? He's, oh man, I don't even know. I just know how to grab the legs. No. feeling bad is a bad way to say it, right? Because you don't want to feel bad for somebody, but no, I get it. That's the best way I can explain it. I get it, man. You're lost right now.
Lost.
100%. You should be lost. Let's make this journey a little shorter, right? So to me, that's why I don't remember those so much, and I feel bad because for you, it stuck out in your head, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So right now I'm over here feeling bad that I don't remember it.
No.
But like I said, it's just me. It's in my brain. Simply, I'm just no. Let's make this simple for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's all I try to do.
And you probably, you teaching since 14. I mean, you probably dealt with it so many. It's hard to remember.
100%, man. You got the guys. You do have to drill them. You know, like, hey,
Yeah.
man, put your hand. I told you to put your hand there. Or, hey, you know what? Why don't you just do it on me one time? There's so many different ways, man. It's so cool, and I'm learning more ways still. You learn just personalities, right?
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
So,
I love that,
yeah,
man. That'll forever change me. That has forever changed me.
That's great to hear, man. I like that. That's cool.
All right, so let's jump into the hot fire questions.
Cool.
These are quick questions. If you could just answer off. What was your very first job?
Very first job, I was a busser at a sports bar.
Nice.
Yeah, you know where the ESPN zone used to be at in
Yeah,
New York?
yeah.
So it was right when it transitioned into a different place. So same place, just different name.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started working there first.
How old were you when you started working there?
18.
Nice.
Or 19, was I 19? Maybe 19, but yeah, 18 or 19.
So technically, teaching was your first job.
Teaching was my first. You know what? Yeah, you caught me. Dude.
That's cool.
You caught me. No, you caught me. Yeah, teaching is my first job. Yep.
That is awesome
Yep.
to say.
Yep. The
That's
job.
awesome.
I guess I live in the real job.
Job.
I was a busser.
All right. Do you, growing up with just jujitsu mainly your life, do you have any hidden talents that nobody knows about?
Hidden talents. I like Pokemon. That's probably not talent. No. Hidden talent, man. That's hard. That's the funny part. When you bring up hidden talents, like I feel like jiu-jitsu is like my only talent because like I can't dance, I can't sing. I like only art. Anything artsy is just jiu-jitsu, right? Like I can't do anything, but I can sweep you over my head real quick. I can show you what that looks like. But honestly, dude, I can swing a hammer right now, man. I can say that right now. That's my job right now, so I can for sure do that.
I know it's connected to jiu-jitsu, but I'd have to say maybe it's being so analytical, how you break everything down and look at it. I think it's really cool.
And seeing that you know more about me than me sometimes. And it happens that way, man. Like I've had guys do that to me. Like, hey, man, you do this way. I'm like, oh, I do. Cool.
Cool.
You should show me how I did that.
So we haven't got to talk much about it, but I know we've talked off the show about superheroes now and then. So you're a big superhero fan, right?
See you all day, man. Doctor Strange in 2 weeks.
Let's go.
2
Let's
weeks.
go. I'm so excited. Who is your favorite superhero?
Favorite? You know what's funny, man? When Black Panther came out, he kind of took it over for a second. But before that was always Wolverine.
Nice.
Wolverine.
Why Wolverine?
He was honest. Honest, you know what I mean? He knew what he could do, and he tried to avoid it at all times. What I talked about earlier, right? He knew what he could do to everybody. Therefore, he wanted to stay away from everyone. Like just want peace, just leave me alone. So I think I like that.
That's
I resonated
awesome.
with that.
He was so cool too. I mean, he is so cool. Not
For
saying
sure.
like
He is. He's real. He's real.
So if you had your own, if you could choose your own superpower, what would that be?
Probably. Everyone wants to say read minds, but I feel like if you did that, you would just lose your own mind.
Yeah.
But probably flying.
Flying.
If I could fly.
Nice.
Yeah, I would like to be able to go somewhere pretty quick.
Yeah.
Especially here in Vegas, man. Traffic's getting there.
Gas is not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you have a quick embarrassing story you'd like to share?
Quick and embarrassing story. Probably. Man, I feel I had a loss of words right now. I'm trying to remember right now. I feel so bad not remembering.
No, you're good. This one catches everybody.
For sure. No, I just really don't want to tell you them. No. No, man. If there's more, maybe we can circle back. Or
Okay,
something.
yeah, we can circle
I
back.
can try
for
to
sure.
think about it.
No worries. Do you have a favorite food?
Favorite food? Steak.
Steak. Nice.
Yes.
Any? How do you like it cooked?
Ribeye, medium rare.
Medium rare.
Medium
Okay.
rare is as cooked as it should be.
Right. I know I'm starting to get around people that are like, I like it well done. I'm like, okay.
Cool. So you plan on being here for about 60 minutes, huh, man? Like, and you're gonna complain about when it comes? Like, all right, man. All right.
And then put ketchup. It was like, oh man.
Oh no. Oh.
All right. So were you into sports growing up?
Very.
What's your sports teams all around?
So Seahawks.
Oh,
Seahawks.
yeah, I forgot about that.
Seahawks. I was gonna look forward to remind you of that one. Seahawks fan. If I had a basketball, we were Lakers fan, but I kind of got away from it. So it was more so like I love Kobe, Shaq. Like those are the kind of just players I grew up loving.
Right.
And then I watch hockey, so Golden Knights, obviously. But really just Golden Knights and Seahawks. Those are the two main ones.
Okay.
Yep.
And when you think of the word nostalgia, what's the first thing that hits your mind?
Nostalgia. Man, doing 3 days on the summers as a kid in jiu-jitsu. I called them they were jiu-jitsu camp for me, man.
Jiu-jitsu
camp.
When
I didn't have school.
Yeah.
Train in the morning, get done at around 1 o'clock, be at kids class around 4 o'clock, and then be from 4 till about 8:30.
Dang.
Doing that. So that would be right there. Just cool. No school, no homework. Just that would be probably the first thing right there. Just no worries, just jiu-jitsu.
That sounds like the coolest summer break of all time.
It was fun, man. It was fun. It was for sure.
So I'm a big movie buff. Do you have a favorite movie?
Favorite movie would probably have to be Talladega Nights.
Nice.
That'd probably be the favorite of all time. Man.
Favorite scene?
Favorite scene, you already know, dude. You already know, man. I don't know through my hands. No, that's an easy go-to. That's an easy go-to. Probably when he's trying to explain to his dad when he talked, you know how you got if your first year last.
Oh yeah.
No, Dad, you're the one who gave me that. You're the one who gave me. I was high. What are you talking about? That's probably yeah.
That was his whole life.
Yeah, that's my whole life based on that, man. What are you talking about?
That's funny. All right. If you could reboot any role that you think you could play better, what would that role be in a movie?
In a movie?
Yeah.
Oh man. That's fun. See, we're talking about Archie stuff, man. Is there a jiu-jitsu movie? There is. There's that I don't know if you remember that Red Belt movie that came out.
No, I haven't seen it.
Old school, man.
Oh man.
Old school. Like there's the Machado brothers were in that. Like yeah. So if there was that movie, I would do better because the guy was the jiu-jitsu was only subpar for the actor. So that movie. Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. What's your favorite submission?
To do would probably be bow and arrows. But if you want to talk about success rate, it would have to be arm bars.
Arm bar.
Yeah, arm bars are probably more high rate for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's your biggest pet peeve?
Biggest pet peeve? Somebody who doesn't like to listen. That's it. That's very simply put. That or just repeating myself.
Oh, me too.
And funny enough, I'm a teacher. Guess what I do a lot of?
Repeating yourself.
You repeat yourself. So with that said, though, you learn how to say things differently. Otherwise, you could get yourself crazy.
Right.
You make yourself crazy because, I just said that 3 times already, man. But there's got to be another way to put this. So probably repeating myself then maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the last 2 questions are, what do you have a favorite quote you lived by?
Yeah, it would probably be by Teddy Atlas, and it's "Behave Like a Fighter." Teddy Atlas, I read his autobiography because of my dad, and it was one of my favorite things I've ever written. Talking about a guy who was so talented as a boxer, as talented as you could be, and then had some injuries, head injuries and stuff like that, to the point where he just became a great coach. He still loved the sport as much as he did, and he's very philosophical in the way he speaks, and to me that's my favorite is Behave Like a Fighter.
Behave like a fighter. I like that. And the very last one is, if you can give your younger self any advice, what would that be?
It's funny. I talked about slowing down so much, and I would actually tell myself to slow down some more, man. And also, you know what though, that and not just slow down, but then to go and see other teachings, seek out other teachings as far as jiu-jitsu goes.
Right.
You know what I mean? I feel like but then again, the mindset was a little bit different when I was coming up. You know what I mean? You go somewhere else, off with your head type deal. You know what I mean? So, but even then, I should have. Right. You know what I mean? I feel like I still rob myself of a lot of different experiences and stuff like that. So it'd probably be that, man. Probably get out of your own head. Don't worry about what others think, and go see what others have.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. And I think that's so cool about the culture now, where everybody's like, I'm gonna go over here, share my knowledge over here. I think that's so cool now.
It's healthy.
Right.
It's healthy.
I love
for
that.
sure.
Yep. All right, and before we close this podcast out, is there any shout-outs you want to give? Anything you want to say in the closing remarks? I
mean, James is for sure first on my list, mainly because when I want to thank him so much, man. Before I started teaching at Atos, and there was some stuff that happened, and I definitely was in limbo for a little bit. Jiu-Jitsu and I were on different terms almost, for lack of a better way to put it. And James, reached out to me and definitely helped me realize what I like to do, what I love to do. And James was one of the first ones, man. And Mitch, it's just, they made it easy for me, man. James and Mitch are family. They've known me since I was a child. You know what I mean? And they're the first ones I like to thank. And you, brother, I appreciate you, man. This is new for me. It's very new for me. So someone chill like you, man, you make it easy. And then my family, man. I've got my sister, Talia. She kicks about 10 times more ass than I do every single day. That is, by no means is that an exaggeration. There's always something new going on with her, always something new she wants to tackle. She did a weightlifting competition 2 weeks ago, went up a weight class, and still lifted more than anybody else.
Sheesh.
And went up a weight class. So how that works, I don't know. You're going to have to ask her. But she, all I can do is thank her for that kind of motivation. I mean, and what's funny is that if you ask her where she got it from, she says she got it from me. but right now we're just going back and forth off each other, it seems. You know what I mean? So I have her to thank. And then my girlfriend, man. My girlfriend, she is there. She's nothing but there for me. We're just building our lives together. And then I wouldn't be here without my parents, my mom and my dad. Thanks to them for all the hard work they put into me. And I just hope that I justify that hard work that they put into me. And that's all I would like to do.
That's awesome, man. And it seems like you grew up with a lot of good role models, and us being the same age, man, I just hope one day I'm as chill as you.
Appreciate it, man.
So we're gonna conclude this podcast. Before we end, if you could give out your socials one more time.
Yeah. So I just I don't do too much on the social media, so forgive me if you follow me on Instagram and it's a little barren. But it's Battleborn93. I keep telling myself I'll be better with posting. Maybe this will spark that. And but Battleborn93 on Instagram is where you can find me.
For sure. Well, thank you again.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you. Appreciate you
so much. And this is the conclude this episode of the Monix Project, and we're out. Peace.
Later, guys.